Hey everyone, today I'm going to talk about something that many people in eating disorder recovery experience, but nobody really explains clearly. If you don't already know me, my name is Iris Epstein, and I am a certified eating disorder specialist and a certified Arise interventionist. I have been specializing in eating disorders for over 20 years. Today I want to discuss acid reflux and eating disorders. It's that complaint of the tight throat and mucus that won't go away, coughing after eating, and feeling like you may throw up. And sometimes you actually do. These symptoms the symptoms are frightening. Many people believe something is seriously wrong with them, that they can't swallow, they're fearing choking, and that eating becomes unsafe. But in many cases, these sensations are not random and they're not imagined. They're often connected with acid reflux and digestive changes caused by the eating disorder itself. Let's walk through this together. First, we need to understand what acid reflux is. Acid reflux happens when the stomach acid moves upwards into the esophagus instead of staying down in the stomach. In eating disorders, especially restriction, purging, or long gaps without food, reflux becomes much more likely. Let me explain to you why. When the body is malnourished, the muscles weaken. And that includes the small valve between the stomach and the esophagus called the lower esophageal sphincter. When this valve weakens, acid can escape upward more easily. Restriction also slows digestion. Food and acid stay in the stomach longer, the pressure builds, and when the pressure builds, acid only has one way to go, and that's back up. Now, here's something many people don't realize. Reflux doesn't always have to feel like heartburn. In fact, many people with eating disorders don't feel heartburn at all. Instead, reflux can show up just as throat symptoms: a tight throat, a lump sensation in the throat, constant mucus and clearing of the throat or coughing, even a hoarse voice. Sometimes people even have the feeling that food is stuck. This happens because acid reaches the upper part of the esophagus or the throat, and we call this silent reflux. When the throat is trying to protect itself by giving and sending out mucus, it's this mucus that causes the gagging or the cough. And here's where the cycle becomes more powerful. Coughing and mucus can trigger the gag reflex. The gag reflex can lead to vomiting. Even if vomiting is not the intention, the body can slip into a really nasty pattern of this. And once the esophagus gets more irritated and reflux happens, the cycle goes into a loop. Now there's the added fear. When you feel that tightness, people think like, oh my goodness, I can't swallow, I may choke. And that fear then tightens the throat again. And these tight muscles in the throat will make swallowing harder, making eating feel more unsafe. So the person eats less. When the person eats less, digestion slows again, more acid builds, reflux worsens, and the symptoms worsen. This is how reflux can quietly reinforce an eating disorder, physically and psychologically. But here is the important part. This cycle can be interrupted. The most powerful intervention is consistent, structured eating. Not forcing large meals, nothing extreme, just steady. Predictable. Predictable nourishment every few hours is the answer, because when eating becomes consistent, stomach emptying improves. The valve between the stomach and the esophagus can strengthen itself, and the acid will stabilize itself. Positioning also matters. So, sitting upright for about 30 to 60 minutes allows gravity to help the acid stay down, and a gentle walk could help digestion. The only thing we don't want to do is lie down because that could make symptoms worse. Hydration is pretty important also, as dehydration will thicken that mucus and increase irritation. Small, steady sips, nothing too much at once. Then there's medication. Sometimes we do need it, especially at the beginning. These acid medications can help the throat heal, but medication alone won't fix this cycle because the nutrition restoration must happen alongside of it. If vomiting occurs, even unintentionally, it has to be addressed because vomiting further lowers the tension on the esophageal sphincter, creating the vicious loop of vomiting. But let's be reassured. Throat tightening doesn't usually mean something is wrong. Most people will swallow well even if it feels difficult because that's just a sensation in the muscle tightening. It's not an obstruction. And understanding this could reduce fear. When fear decreases, so does your tension in your throat. Your throat will relax and you'll be able to swallow easier, and therefore acid reflux will lower. Your body's not failing. It's just the mucus and the tension all creating a protective environment for your throat and esophagus. However, if someone is persistently vomiting, or they're vomiting up blood, or they have chronic hoarseness, you probably do need a medical evaluation. We never want someone not to have the right medical care if something is seriously wrong. And once you'll understand this cycle, that most of the time nothing is wrong with you, you can begin to break the cycle. If this helped you understand what is happening in your body, I'm so happy because I don't want you to feel alone. And these symptoms are more common than you realize, and they are treatable. So thank you for listening, and I will see you in another video.